Hello and welcome again to City Connections. I'm Steve Kime with the City of Enid. As you know, I have the privilege of interviewing just a variety of individuals that are really making a difference in our community and across Oklahoma and across the country. And I have one more special guest to share with you. She came all the way from Nash, Oklahoma. It's not necessarily a long ways, but how she got to her current position, kind of the long way to get there. My special guest today is Sierra Paikey, right, Sarah?
Yes,
I got that
good
right.
job.
And Sierra, we're going to find out a lot of things about her, but on City Connections today, she is known now as Miss Rodeo Oklahoma for 2015. So Sierra, thanks for joining us today. We're glad that you're here. Welcome to Enid.
Well, yeah.
So how long did it take you to leave Nash to get here?
Only about 20, 25, 30 minutes, depending
Okay.
on how fast you drive.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show. We're glad that you're here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Achieving, let me just start up this way. Why was Miss Rodeo Oklahoma a goal for you?
Well, growing up in a rodeo family, rodeo has always been a huge part of my life.
Okay.
And I attribute the person I am to the state of Oklahoma. And so what better way to, represent that than a title that does both things? I get to be an ambassador for the sport of rodeo and the state of Oklahoma everywhere I go. And I think, I can give back to those two things that, really gave to my life so much. So that's why it was such a huge goal for me.
I see. I'm a history buff. I love history, and I remember reading about Winston Churchill during World War II. The bombs are dropping on London, and things are falling apart in the UK. And Winston Churchill said something along these lines, that he had been preparing all of his life for that moment to lead England through World War II, that he had been preparing all of his life. And I remembered that statement and say, yeah, I think most of us can relate to the fact that we have been preparing all of our life for this moment. And just with your answer just a moment ago, it sounds like you've been preparing all your life for this moment as Miss Rodeo Oklahoma.
Well, yes, sir. I absolutely would say that is true. It may not have been in the most traditional way. Like I state, I've never, the whole rodeo queen thing was not how I was brought up. I was brought up in the rodeo side of things. But I cannot think of a better thing to prepare me for becoming Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. Rodeo Oklahoma, it is all about rodeo. And so I believe that that's really where my entire life has just kind of pushed me. And, my love for PR and for advocacy in the Western way of life, I think this is exactly where I was meant to be.
This program will air at various times and throughout the year. And if a young person is watching this show, how can they learn about Miss Rodeo Oklahoma? Can you give us a website or where can they go to find out more information, saying, I want to find out more about this?
Well, the Oklahoma Rodeo Pageants Council, which is actually kind of like my board, and they are the ones that are in charge of the Miss Rodeo Oklahoma pageant. They have a website, and you can just go to Google and type in the Oklahoma Rodeo Pageants Council, and it'll pull that up. Or you can find them on Facebook, or you can find me on Facebook, Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. I have a page, and it has a link to their Facebook, so you can get all sorts of information about the pageant, about what I do, about me, about where I'll be, all sorts of things like that. And you can actually follow me in my year's travel through my Facebook page, so you can see everywhere that I'm going to be.
Because I've heard you've been to Las Vegas, you've been to Florida.
Yes, sir.
You're going back to Florida. I'm sure you're going to probably Denver, Colorado.
I was in Denver a couple weeks ago, so
traveling.
yes.
I appreciate you mentioning the council, because I want to read this, Sierra. It says, the mission of the Oklahoma Rodeo Pageant Council is to provide opportunities for young women in Oklahoma to maximize their educational potential while promoting the state of Oklahoma through the sport of rodeo. And that's kind of the mission statement of the council that you mentioned. So what is your role now? You are Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2015. I've had the privilege of meeting Miss Rodeo Oklahoma of 2014, But okay, what are you going to do for the next 12 months during your role?
Well, during the next 12 months, I will travel all over the United States and the state of Oklahoma as an ambassador, like I said, for the sport of rodeo in the state of Oklahoma. I will visit rodeos and I will kind of somewhat work for the rodeos. I will do PR, I will visit schools, I will cut radio spots, I will do anything pretty much that they ask me to do, anything that they need done in the way of, whether it be at the rodeo, whether it be in the way of, oh, well, we need someone to go sign autographs, talk to kids. That's my job. And one of the great things that I think a lot of people don't realize about rodeo queens is that we really are the ones who get to come and be in touch with the children. You go to rodeos and, the cowboys' jobs are to go to those rodeos, rodeo, and get on to the next rodeo because that's how they make their living. Right. So as a rodeo queen, I'm really the one that gets to be in the crowds, talking to kids, answering questions. I really get to be hands-on with the kids, and I always like to kind of think about that I'm nurturing the next generation of rodeo, and I really think that's important.
My 91-year-old mother-in-law, who's in a retirement home in Oklahoma City, who's a very vibrant person, but I could see that she would really, and many of the others at the retirement home, would enjoy a dose of your enthusiasm because they're 90 to 100 years old and they're still alive and well doing great things. But I would know that they would welcome you to show up and get some of your energy.
Well, I would be happy to come and see them all. I love doing things like that.
I'll share a picture and I say, Viva, this young lady can come talk to your group.
Her.
So tell me, how has your life changed? Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2015, and then boom, life changed. What did change?
Honestly, everything. Everything changed.
We only have 30 minutes, so you can't tell us for 2 hours.
Good. No, you're good. Well, everything
okay.
has changed.
I thought so.
My schedule has changed. What I have time for has changed. At the beginning of our year, we signed a very detailed contract, and during my year, I have to, uphold that contract, and it's very detailed in so many ways. And you really dedicate a year of your life to this title, and it's absolutely worth it because the people that I meet and the places I get to go, I would never get to do any, in any other role than the one I'm in right now. So I absolutely have changed everything about my life, I would say, just because you do have to, you get out what you put into this, I would say.
Well, it's certainly a pleasure to meet you today and to learn more about you and more importantly, your role as an ambassador for Oklahoma. So we really appreciate you being here today.
Well,
and thank you for being with us today on City Connections. Our special guest, Sierra Paikey. She is Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2015, and we're going to learn more about Sierra right after this. Welcome back to City Connections. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Steve Kime with the City of Enid, and my special guest is Sierra Paikey. She is Miss Rodeo Oklahoma 2015 from Nash, Oklahoma. She's in Enid today, and she has a very hectic schedule, and we're just thrilled that she's in Enid today, and she has a very hectic schedule, and we're just thrilled that she's in the ETN studio visiting with her about her role as Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. You're goal-driven, you're Type A, check it off the list, get things done. But undoubtedly, there's people that have inspired you and are your role models. Who would that be?
Yes, sir, absolutely. I would have to say that my role model has always been my mom.
Mom usually gets a couple votes.
Yes. Well, and my mom has been just everything for me. She is a world champion tie-down roper, so the sport of rodeo has been my entire life. From the time I was a small child, we traveled up and down the road, and we went to everywhere. We did everything as a family, whether it be, going to a rodeo, being there till midnight, feeding cattle. We do everything as a family, and my mom is the one that taught me if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And if you're going to do it, you're going to do it looking like a lady. And I think that's so important in today's society, to show that you can be a strong, independent woman who's very well knowledgeable about everything and very well spoken, but you do it all with a grace. And so she has definitely been a role model my entire life.
Moms can do that.
Yes, they can.
This isn't on my asking list, Sierra, but when I look at you, and I'll just say the word wardrobe, I see your sash and your belt buckle and your hat. And off camera, I said, well, how many of these outfits you have? And you said, there's not a number, Steve. There's just so many because you all have these different events. Does the buckle and then I guess the buckle on the hat, is there a special meaning, or is it just represent Miss Rodeo, Oklahoma?
You know,
Because that's an impressive buckle.
yes, it is. They, the Oklahoma Rodeo Pageants Council has provided me with a beautiful buckle and a beautiful crown. They're just the face. They are the Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. And you know, I'm so lucky to get to wear the same crown that so many incredible women, including Miss Rodeo America 2015, Lauren Heaton. I'm so lucky to get to wear the exact same crown as those women. But you know, the buckle, they've done such a wonderful job. It's beautiful. Hi-Ho Silver did a great job. It's got my name and it matches my crown. You know, it's just a beautiful representation of Oklahoma. It's got all the Oklahoma things on it, and I'm just really proud to wear it. So.
Well, it's very impressive. And folks need to realize that this young lady, besides being Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, she's a student at Oklahoma State University. I think she's kind of sort of junior or junior plus some or whatever in school.
Yes, sir.
So how do you weave in the educational part and all your engagements and things like this? Because I know you want to check off your list, you know, getting your degree at Oklahoma State.
Yes. Well, as for this year, you know, my education is kind of at a slow, but you know, the things I'm learning right now, I believe are going to prepare me for, you know, the rest of my life, as well as
things in a book, do you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, the things I have gotten to do as Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, you know, I'm not going to find that experience anywhere else. And so, you know, as a student of Oklahoma State, I continue to learn everywhere I go. You know, I expand my knowledge in everything I do. And so, you know, I just don't think that you can find this anywhere else. And when I go back, I plan to continue my education till I have about a year left, and I hope to get that degree, and then I would really love to go to law school. So that's where I'm kind of headed with all of this. So.
I have two older sisters, Sierra, and we have a great relationship, and I understand that you have a brother and sister. Excuse me. How are they handling all of this?
Well, I have a brother and two sisters, and
okay.
no, in the beginning, they were kind of like, Sierra, what are you doing? Like, this is a lot, because it is. You take on, you know, not just the responsibility, but you take on a lot. There is so much that goes into my year as Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. And in the beginning, I think they were kind of like, well, you know, we're going to support you. We're going to tell you that you can do it no matter what. And none of them ever stopped telling me that I could do it from the very beginning, including my mom. They were all such big components into me getting where I am, because honestly, there were some moments when I didn't believe that I could do this, and they still did. So they were huge in getting me where I am today.
Let me share this. I thought it was a funny story yesterday at the office. I had a picture of laying on the desk there in the magazine, and a young man came by my office, and he goes, "Oh, that's Miss Rodeo Oklahoma." I go, "Yeah, she's going to be, I have the privilege to interview her tomorrow at the ETN studios." I said, "Do you have a question that you want me to ask her?" And he goes, "Yeah, ask her if she has a boyfriend." And that, I mean, that was his response. It really caught me off guard. I'm not going to ask you if you have a boyfriend. However, I am going to ask you, how do you handle all the attention from media, from kids, from the rodeo circuit and all that? How do you handle that attention?
Well, yes, you are right in the way we do get lots of attention. You know, the thing is, you just have to handle it with grace. I love people, and so handling the attention, it just comes natural. You know, it's something that I love. You know, I love talking to kids, and you know, I love talking to adults. And you know, earlier I was talking to one of the girls. I said, when I travel and go through the airport, I wear exactly what I'm wearing right now: the hat, the crown, everything. And it's kind of like you're just like this walking billboard, you know, it's just flashing, and, you know, people are staring, and, you know, people come up to you and they're like, okay, what is this? What are you wearing? Tell me about what you're wearing. And there's my chance to do my job. There's my chance to, you know, educate someone on the sport of rodeo and what a rodeo queen does. And I think that is the best way that you can handle all the attention, is turn everything into, you know, a way to share, you know, the state of Oklahoma and the sport of rodeo. So I think that's the best way I've learned to handle it.
Very good. You mentioned that after you finish your degree and your work at Oklahoma State University and you hope to go on to law school, what are you going to be doing, say, for the next, I don't know, 6 months? I know you're going to be traveling a lot, but is there anything that the state of Oklahoma or folks from Enid and the surrounding area, how can we support you, I guess? Because I know you've got a hectic travel schedule and you've got all these appearances, but is there something that, we as a community can support you in?
I would just like to start by saying thank you to the city of Enid, because you all have done a wonderful job in supporting me as Miss Rodeo Oklahoma. Being from a community just right down the road, it's been so wonderful, the support I've gotten. I got a wonderful article in the Enid News and Eagle, the wonderful article in the E-Town, and that is one of the biggest ways, allowing me to do things like being on the show today and being in the articles and things like that.
Around the globe 3 times.
Yes, and then, that's exactly it. Just the support I've received is humbling. It's so overwhelmingly humbling. And, obviously I have sponsorships, I have things like that. I do, lots of work with sponsors, and because my year is funded by me, I am the primary source for my fund and my sponsors. It takes my sponsors to get me where I go, and I can only do what I can do because of my sponsors. So they deserve a huge thank you. But, like I said, the city of Enid has done so much for me, and I'm so grateful for that. So.
Well, I had the privilege of meeting Lauren Heaton, the 2014 Miss Rodeo Oklahoma, and she really wowed me. I had the privilege of sitting next to her at a particular luncheon in Oklahoma City, and I was very impressed with her. I am just as impressed with you, Sierra. Thank you for being here in our studio today. I just appreciate your enthusiasm, and we need a lot of ambassadors like you, because I'm homegrown Oklahoma as well. And we appreciate the fact that you're Miss Rodeo Oklahoma for 2015 and that you're representing our state, and we wish you the best. So
well,
thank
you for having me on. It's
You're
been
welcome.
so wonderful.
And give us a few months, check in, let us know what's going on. We'd love to have you back and talk about some of your travels, okay?
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you for being with us on City Connections. Again, it's my privilege to come into your home quite often, really, with all of our special guests. So thank you for being with us. I'm Steve Kime with the City of Enid. Until next time, make it a great day.